Welcome to CEO Unexpected, the show where we unpack the stories of unexpected CEOs, the one that didn't have the pedigree, didn't have the network, didn't have the background to start it, but did it anyway. From bakers to founders, from corporate people that become solo entrepreneurs. This is the place where you learn the untold stories of all those who have chosen this path. So stay tuned.
Like as humans, we need this connection and belonging. And so when you feel this shame or fear and you keep it to yourself, it grows. But as soon as you share it with someone or with a group that has empathy, that's when it diminishes. So I definitely think men also need to feel this connection and belonging. Is just human behavior. But women just, need a bit more.
Yeah. Was there ever a moment where becoming a CEO, becoming a solo entrepreneur was not in the pipe? Like you've never thought you would do that?
Deep down, I always knew I wanted to have my own freedom and I didn't want to always be told what to do. And there were so many moments just throughout my corporate career where I felt like I had to do something just because it had to be done and there was no value for pretty much anyone.
Hi Mira,
Hello.
welcome to this
Thank
podcast. I'm so excited to have you here on this podcast. So excited to have you as my first guest. So for those who don't know you, you are a business and mindset coach. Do you want to tell people exactly what it entails?
Yeah, basically what I do is I try to help solopreneurs or people who want to become entrepreneurs get going. So it's really for those people who know they want to become entrepreneurs, but maybe aren't clear on the exact idea. So I kind of help them understand their strengths, what they want to do, what life they want to live, and make sure, they can find they can create a business around that. Or people who have started, so maybe they have a really small business and they want to grow, but they don't have entrepreneurial skills. So they could be experts, in their field, like designers or, real estate agents, but they don't know how to grow a business.
Makes sense. So basically, if we have to resume, you are an enabler, right?
An enabler,
Yes.
yeah.
I love this.
That's
right?
a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
No, that's good. That's good. So let's get going. First question for you today. If your entrepreneurial journey were a book, what would the title be? And what is the plot twist that no one saw coming?
Oh my gosh. I feel like it sounds like a trailer for a movie.
Kind of a teaser one. I love that.
That's a hard one. I think it would be something along the lines of one step at a time or one person at a time, let's say. So the idea is like, I knew I always wanted to help people. I always wanted to make an impact, but I didn't know how. And so now I feel like I make an impact one person at a time. And then, whoever I help to pursue their dreams, they'll then go off and do something they love, something that provides value to the world. Then they will help people. So I see it as like, helping one person at a time.
It's kind of like a domino effect, right?
Yeah.
You're helping one person, and then this person is going to be able to, through its craft, help others.
Yeah,
That's exactly what you did to me. So I'm really happy.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's rewind kind of on your path, career path. What was your first job? And do you think it influenced in any way the CEO that you are today?
Yeah, so my first job, like right out of university, was working at Ferrero, a chocolate company. And it was so fun because, I was doing market research there and everything was around chocolate and Nutella and, so it was like really fun. And what I noticed, what I loved in that job was all the consumer behavior side of things. So how people bought, what made them buy, what emotions they felt. So it was very like the psychological side of things that I really liked. Back then, I didn't know, where I would be today, but I think that started showing me that I'm really interested in human behavior.
Which makes sense. Just before we get into this aspect of the job, how much kilo did you take during this job? Because I'm just thinking, as you were talking, I see Nutella, Ferrero, and I'm just thinking of all the goodies that must have sit in the office,
Oh my gosh, we had a room with like all sample product. Yeah, and there's this thing called when you go to university, you get the freshman 15. So you gain 15 pounds as a freshman. So when I joined Ferrero, they're like, oh, there's the Ferrero 15.
I'm not surprised. Honestly, I'm not surprised. And for everyone working at Ferrero, please tell us if this is the case. But just coming back on what you said about human behavior, one thing that strikes me is, back then it was very kind of understanding the common human behavior of a large group of people, because you're trying to, get most of the consumers' habits. Right now, in your current job, it's more like understanding one, person. So do you see any like links between those two? Do you think it's different?
That's a very good point, actually. So then it was like macro.
Yeah.
It was like all mothers this age with kids this age, let's say. Now it's like one person at a time. But I do notice, although I work with individuals, their themes are applied to most people. Fear of failure, not knowing how to price yourself, price your worth, not knowing how to sell. All these themes are actually across the board. So when I do some group coaching as well. And the main takeaway people get, like, sure, I provide value, but the main takeaway and feedback I get is that, oh, I feel so happy that other people feel the same way.
That's true. And I remember one of the workshops we've done was around, a lot of people that were there were already, solo entrepreneurs or about to start a business. Yeah. And I remember I was very surprised to see most of them had kind of the same fear of, not succeeding and of it being kind of overwhelming. And the minute everyone shared that, it's like, everyone switched to, actually, I'm not the only one, so it's fine. Yeah. So I like that moment of, I'm going through something by myself. The minute I share it with others and I realize I'm not the only one going through this, then your mindset shift and it's not that much of a problem anymore. Like
exactly. Because you don't feel alone anymore. Yeah. And that's the whole point. Like, as humans, we need this connection and belonging. And so when you feel this shame or fear and you keep it to yourself, it grows. But as soon as you share it with someone or with a group that has empathy, that's when it diminishes. So it's so powerful.
No, I understand. And just one thing that, now that you say it, do you think the feeling of belonging is maybe more important within women groups than within men? Do you think they have the same thing? Because we've talked about it, right?
Yeah.
As women, we do need
I think
that.
Women need it a lot. Yeah. And I can speak from experience as a woman, right? I'm not inside the mind of a man, although sometimes I'd like to be. But I definitely think for women, it's, and I think historically too, right? Women used to, the men used to go and work and hunt or whatever, and the woman would be together in this community cooking and helping each other. And so it used to, like, there always has been groups of women supporting each other. So I do feel like maybe there's just a bit more need for that. I definitely think men also need to feel this connection and belonging is just human behavior, but women just, need a bit more.
Yeah. For us, it's like, it's a second nature almost. Yeah. So we need it, but we also provide it way more.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
What I'm thinking about is those, girls group chats. Girls friend group chat, the kind of group chat you don't want anyone to ever see, ever. Yeah. Because what happened on those group chat has to be secret. We have to die with it. Yeah. This cannot come out. One question that strikes now, was there ever a moment where becoming a CEO, becoming a solo entrepreneur was not in the pipe? Like you've never thought you would do that?
I think initially in when you start or when I started my corporate career, I thought, I could do this forever until 2 years in. I'm like,
very fast.
Didn't last too long. I knew I was really happy to go into corporate and learn a lot of foundations, how to be professional, all these kind of things. But I think, deep down, I always knew I wanted to have my own freedom and I didn't want to always be told what to do. And there were so many moments just throughout my corporate career where I felt like I had to do something just because it had to be done. And there was no value for pretty much anyone for this thing that would take me hours to do. And at that point, I'm like, why am I wasting my time? So
Yeah.
I think maybe for like a second I'm like, oh, I won't be a entrepreneur, but then
But very early on, you had this sense that
there's something more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. If you had to describe kind of 3 big acts, kind of a theater type of your path to leadership, because as you said, you started very early on, you realized there was this thing inside you that made you want to follow that path. If you have to break it down in 3 acts, what would it be?
So I would say the first act is like the corporate world.
Yeah.
And so that's where, I started my career. I learned my interests. I knew that I really liked consumer behavior. I liked working with people. So I would say that was act 1. And then act 2, I guess, was, let's call it transition. This is when I noticed that like I really needed to leave corporate, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I would say, like, if you look at it in a graph, like let's say corporate at the beginning, I was high, I was happy. Yeah. And then the transition, I would say, was a low point because I was kind of lost. And back then I didn't know what life coaching was. So I didn't know, I could get a coach to help me. So I tried to figure it out on my own. Luckily I did. It took me 2.5 years. So now I try to help people, condense that. But, at that transitional point, I really wanted to make sure I pick something that I'll stick with, not just, change job for another 2 years and then get bored. So there's the transition. And then I would say there's the growth. So let's say that's where I am now. And between transition and growth, we can think of it as like a graph. Like there were a lot of hurdles along the way, me becoming a coach, getting certified, leaving my job, all these things. And then, with my business, just constantly working on it to improve it, to grow it, and those things.
I think a lot of people trying to go through that path get stuck into this transition periods because that's when you have the most self-doubt.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have to give any advice to anyone listening on how to overcome that transitional period and kind of what helped you go to, from that transitional period to that growth period, we will be happy to know. Because I think a lot of us are stuck in this transitional period where you know that you need more or you want more, but it's very difficult to have a full vision of what that more is supposed to be.
Yeah. I would say the transitional moment is so powerful and it can so easily slip away from you. Yeah. So if you're there, like grasp it, like really, take it and make sure you use it. So like I said, I had 2 options. Either I find another job, everything new is exciting. So I could find another job, be excited for a year and 2, and then have the same frustrations I was having. So I had luckily I had that foresight of, I could be in the same spot in 2 years. That doesn't really make sense. Right?
Let's not do this path again.
Let's not,
this cycle again.
It's not working. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I have this feeling I'm in this transitional phase. Let me get really into what I want to do, what I want to pursue. So I kept my job. I wasn't so happy, but it was fine. And so I made sure to look into what my strengths were, what my friends would come to me for, what people said I was good at. Maybe I didn't know, but what people told me I was good at. So getting down to like your skills, your values. And then I also was thinking, okay, I want, a life where I can travel when I want and I can work remote and those things. So I thought of everything I wanted and everything I was good at. And then I started looking, what careers can I do? So it's about take this transitional moment and really get into it. Even if it takes you 6 months or a year, it's worth it to use that to find your real next path. And of course, you can always come to a coach who will help you identify these things about yourself and what to do and how to move forward.
And that's very interesting because if you remember, one of the questions you asked at one of your workshops was, what is natural to you? What comes naturally to you?
Yeah.
And one of the things we realized when we did the round the table is that a lot of those things that is natural to you, you don't really think it's something that could be monetized at some point or can be used as a career, but actually it can. And one good example that we shared on that workshop was there was a yoga teacher with us on that workshop. And one thing that was very natural to her is her kind of, how to say, sound voice sound. Like she had a very calming.
Yeah, her voice is so calming.
Exactly.
And you noticed that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what because I was doing I was partnered with her when we did that.
Yeah.
And I told her, like, this is, to me, it's like, you talk and I want to listen.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you have to say, like, I literally want to.
I just want to close my eyes and hear you.
And just listen.
Yeah. I'll tell her.
Me and her, we were stuck at that. I was just like, you have a really nice voice. And she was like, oh, well, thank you. And then you came in and you used that element that we both realized into actually you could do this and this as a career because of that.
Yeah, how she could monetize her voice. Yeah. So some suggestions I gave was like maybe she could partner with the meditation app or, when she does, she can, put out videos with her voice so people like watch her content more, things like that.
And that's when you see the enabler part of your job. Because us, not being coaches, we were stuck at, you have a nice voice and thank you. That's a very good compliment. But when you have an enabler in the discussions, you switch.
Yeah, it's just like looking at it from a different perspective. It's just hard to look at ourselves as like, I don't know why we've been wired, I think, that we can't monetize ourselves. But actually, we kind of can. Yeah.
And please don't take it wrongly. We're not talking about any OnlyFans accounts.
Actually.
There's other way to monetize yourself.
I didn't realize how that came out. Thank you.
So now you kind of touch base on that very early on, but just to reinforce what Mindset and Business Coach is, can you tell us about your business? What do you do? Who do you serve? And what problem are you solving?
Yeah, so like I said, I work with individuals who are starting a business, who want to start one, or who have started one and want to scale. And the type of people I work with is really just anyone who's ready. They have that mindset, they're in that transition phase and they're ready to go. What problem I solve, the core problem is the mindset. So it's helping them believe in themselves. So even, once I start working with someone, I usually do at least 3 months programs. And that's to make sure they have support along the way, because just because you start doesn't mean, oh, that's it. Like, do you know how many times I went down like I can't do this. Who wants a coach like me? Like, do you know how many times it still happens? Because our mind is so powerful and it wants to keep us small.
Yeah.
So I really try to make sure to provide support along the way for those moments of doubt, for when you think I'm going to fail, I can't do this. I just, provide perspective and kind of help boost the momentum. That's like the hidden agenda, let's say. The, surface agenda is a plan. So, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to sell it? Who's your target? So we get really into like the business side of things. And that even doing that helps with the mindset because you're taking action, you're doing something, and that will in turn, you'll get results. And when you get results, your mind is happy.
Yeah.
And it's like a cycle.
I agree. And if you had to kind of advise any solo entrepreneurs on what is the best time to reach out to you and to get on that journey, you or any mindset and business coach, when do you think is the best time? Or is there even a best time to
I think
to do this?
As soon as you think, I want to do this, but I'm struggling. The moment you feel a little struggle, just do it.
Yeah.
Like even in moments in my business where I felt like it's slowing down, I can do more, I just didn't know what, I got a coach. Best investment ever. Anytime I've invested in myself, it always came back 10 times. Always. And it's just like, it's just hard for us to think like, oh, I'm going to invest in someone, like, what am I going to get out of it? But you can think of it as like a shortcut. So once I worked with my coach, what would have taken me 2 years took me 3 months.
Yeah.
When someone comes to work with me, they want to launch a business, in 3 months, they'll have something up and running. Versus without me, it would take them a year or two.
No, and along the way, apart from, you helping them building the plan to get the business to scale up or to start it, it's also you shifting the person within. And I think that's one of the main things that people forget about coaching is you're getting coached about your business, but you're also changing the person that, evolving into like a kind of the 2.0 version of yourself, right?
Yeah.
And this version of yourself, 2.0, is going to be able to face the next challenges in a maybe faster, better way than before.
I love that you said 2.0 version. I use that all the time.
See?
Yeah, you're like the best. You're my like ideal persona right here. No, but it's true because, like when you're, let's say in a corporate job and then you want to start a business, you don't believe you can. So when you work with a coach, they level up your mind that you can achieve this. Because if your mind isn't there, you can't. Your results won't be there either. Like you have to truly believe, I can do this. I can be that person too, as well as who I am today.
What is something that people underestimate or misunderstand about being a solo entrepreneur?
I would say like how much mindset is important. I know we're coming back to it a lot, but it really is the make or break at any point. When you're succeeding, you need that mindset to keep going. When you're, maybe you didn't see results in a few weeks, like that's, your mindset is going down. Those are the moments where if you keep your mindset strong, the results will come.
You feel your mindset is a bit shaky.
Wonky.
Yes. How do you reinforce it? Like quickly?
Yeah. Well, I think if you catch it.
Okay.
The problem is sometimes, our mind is so powerful that it goes down a hole and it takes us. So if you can catch it, that's the first step. If you can catch it already, you're doing great. Like, oh, I'm falling into this pattern. And then you have to rewire what you're telling yourself. So let's say, I didn't get a client in 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, maybe this pivot didn't work. Maybe my prices aren't good. And then if I catch myself, I say, okay, the right clients are coming to me. I've done what I can. And then just do something else. Distract yourself with something. Just get out. As long as you get out of the negative mindset, you're already doing good.
Yeah. And one thing that resonates when you say that is for everyone that had, kind of a behavior, like whether you're bulimic or you have those kind of things, the first thing you learn in therapy is that you have to kind of identify your patterns so that when you see the early stage of it, you can act on it. And I think maybe when I hear you say that, that's one thing that I realize is that for mindset, we don't think we have like kind of, we don't identify. Yes, we don't identify the patterns.
Yeah.
But if you do, then when you're starting to get into this shaky ground, so you can act on it.
I love the shaky. Can I start using that?
Yeah, you can.
But that's so true. What you said, it's like we think of habits as physical things, smoking or whatever. But actually, mindset is such a habit too. So it's about catching it. And it's hard because it's not tangible. It's all inside.
Yeah, it's all inside.
Yeah.
As a CEO, what has been your hardest lesson so far?
I would say my hardest lesson has been that there's no limit, let's say, to growth. So every time like I achieve a big milestone, somewhere I get somewhere I never expected to be, I feel amazing. I'm so happy, but it just gives me a taste that, oh, I can do more. If I got here, I can do more. So it's more like the reality that it's just going to keep going. And as long as I keep putting effort and I keep showing up, I will continue to grow my business. So it's almost like there's no end. Obviously that's a good thing. And it shows like there's potential and there's growth. But I think it's the realization that I will always be working hard towards this.
And it's kind of overwhelming because we touched base on this one time where when you're a solo entrepreneur, as you said, sky is the limit because, you can always do more. You can always scale up your business. So it's very different from when you're running an actual company where you still have some sort of, you have a market to address. So, you cannot go, sky, they will tell you, all CEOs will tell you, sky is the limit, but the limit is actually.
Yeah, there's some structure. Yeah.
So sometimes it could feel like kind of overwhelming to sit down and say, okay, this is what I'm doing now. Yeah. But actually, this is, what I could be doing. So.
It's so think about it. Like I'm marketing, I'm sales, I'm strategy. Like I'm and I just have to sit down and be all those people in front of my computer, So that's why when you have a coach, you actually have someone to bounce off these things with. but it's true. Like I could, the thing is, what you can think of like a business as, I don't know why this always comes to my head as an octopus. Okay. Because with any business you
Yes.
start, and even with,
I see it.
you see it. You can go so many ways,
Yeah.
So when people come to me, they want to start a business, they come to me with so many different ideas, tangents, etc. So they get overwhelmed because it can spread so much. And so what I always have to like reel in is like start small, and then we can work together on which octopus tentacles make sense to address.
Before we wrap up this this section on solo entrepreneurship, what's your secret sauce? What's one thing that you think you bring to the table that is very different from others?
I think what my secret sauce is honestly just being myself. And what I found is most of the people I work with, I've had interactions with maybe personally or online, through calls or something. But I find that what people need in this phase of starting something new, leveling up their mindset, their life, they need someone who can kind of hold their hand, guide them, but empower them at the same time. And I found just by, experience that people feel comfortable with me and they trust that I can guide them there, also because I've done it for myself. So there's that credibility. But I think I provide this sense of comfort. Like, it will be okay. You're doing great, sweetie. Like, keep going.
Yes.
I think that's what it is.
And I can vouch for it because I told you that one time. I feel like you're the kind of person, if you're in the middle of a major crisis, like, and I'm talking about huge crisis, like life on the line crisis. I know I can come to you and you will not panic. You will, put perspective and calm me down and find a solution, like help me find a way out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's that's a strength, but also, apart from being something that you do very well, it's also, I think your personality is so, solution driven that that if I come to you with something, I will come back from it with a solution and a way, and a path. So
yeah, thank you so much. That's so sweet. And it's true, like it's always problem solving. Like we're always problem solving. And that's what coaching is really focused on, action or oriented, goal oriented. So, when you start working with a coach, it's very much about moving forward, solving problems, those kind of things. And that's why I went into it, because like I need to move forward. Like I need to help you move forward and in a way that works for you.
And I can vouch. She's that's exactly what she's doing.
That's why we're here.
No, that's good. Has there been a moment where you seriously doubted yourself on the business, and how did you get through it?
So many moments. I wish it was just one. So many moments. Like right at the beginning, I got my coaching certification. I had to start getting my first clients, putting myself out there. And that was such a fearful moment because that was the moment I had to tell the world I'm doing this. And that's when you have to succeed or you fail, and then everyone knows you failed. So that moment I really relied on my support system to help me believe that I can do it. And, everything I learned in my coaching certification. So that was like the first moment of like doubt. But I think those moments of doubts are like the pivotal moments. And then another moment of doubt, I don't know, I'll tell you a few and you tell me when to stop. Another moment I would say is, I had my business going. I had a handful of clients, throughout, but it was just like slow. And at this point I was doing more just general life coaching. So helping with habits or patterns, relationships, whatever someone needed help with. And I just felt like it was slow, it was stagnant, and it felt like, oh, it's my hobby. Like this is a hobby I do. And then like I had this like moment of, I can't just treat this as a hobby. Like either I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, or I'm doing this as a hobby. And so that moment, again, it was a low moment because I was like, I'm not growing that much. I don't have that many clients as I'd like, those things. So that was also a pivotal moment that, okay, time to shift it to a business. And that's when I started learning about strategies and funnels and how to sell and create new offers. And then, I leveled up. And that's when I learned, okay, that took me 3 years to decide I need to do that. I need to start helping people do the same.
That makes sense. And sometimes people forget is that, I mean, tell me, do you think self-doubt ever stops? Do you think you'll ever stop self-doubting yourself, even if you become like super, super successful?
Yeah.
Do you think it's
I don't
ever gonna
think it
stop?
ever stops.
Yeah.
Like, I think you learn that it's just instinctual and you don't let it change, what you're going to do or how you act. So it's about learning how to manage it.
And how to also, because from what you're saying, it's every one of those major self-doubting moments were pivotal moments where you actually press pause and reflect and come up with the next big idea.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So maybe that's one of the outtakes we have to take, when self-doubting, because for myself, I'm self-doubting all the time.
No.
And all the time, like for very minimum thing. Even when I'm trying to order Karim delivery food, I'm still self-doubting. So it's just a habit, I would say, not a healthy one.
Where you can't you can't decide what to pick.
Yes, because I'm always, especially when I'm ordering for a lot of people, like for example, you're having people at your house trying to order food for everyone, then you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to order something that everyone would like, that, and you have this kind of pressure, which is nothing. I mean, at the end of the day,
no one cares.
Food, I mean, free food, everyone is up for free food,
Exactly.
But yes, and every time I had these kind of moments, I realize you have to kind of stop, pause, and then, have a thought process. Try, instead of being very like emotional about it, trying to tune in into your not so emotional part of your brain and actually come up with a plan. And I mean, for Karim, it's like, okay, so this is the type of people we are. This is the kind of food this and this person can eat, not eat.
Yeah.
So this is the common grounds that would make everyone happy.
So you come up with a plan.
Exactly.
And one thing you can do is also give yourself a time limit.
Yes.
So, okay, in 5 minutes.
You're really big on that. I remember.
Really?
Setting deadlines.
It helps me so much, like with anything, if I don't know, the other day I was booking an Airbnb for a trip we're going on. You can really like spend hours on there and reading reviews and, all this stuff. So I was like, okay, 30 minutes, by 30 minutes, I pick one. And if not, then, someone else has to do it. And it helps so much because otherwise you could spend hours.
Yes.
We have too many options these days with everything. Imagine online shopping for clothes, food, delivery options, right? And the amount of analysis paralysis we've gotten to. And then, you end up making a decision, and then this is called the paradox of choice. We end up making a decision and then we feel like we didn't make a good decision because there were so many other options, even if it took you hours. So we really have to be on top of, just being decisive and moving on. Like, this indecision is something we struggle with so much.
Yeah. No, that's really true. And one thing maybe is when you put some time constraint, right? Come up with a decision. Whatever this decision is, good or bad, the amount of time you have saved, not, being in this indecisive time, make it a good decision anyway. And I'm going to give you like a very good example. For me, I'm really bad at choosing food. I don't know why. It's not just Karim delivery, it's everything. So even when I go to work, lunchtime, it takes me forever to decide what I'm going to have for lunch.
Oh no.
And in my building, there's not, I mean, you're in the same building, so, there's not that many options. Yeah. So now I bring my food to work and my food is not always good. And I'm really particular when it comes to food. Like I derive so much happiness from food. Yeah. But the fact that it took me no time to choose, that it's very effective and it's there and it's free because I made it, make it a very good meal.
How does it feel like when you you don't have to make that decision? How does it change your day?
For me, it's it really makes it like I win something already. Like I won at life already, like at that moment.
I just want, like, look at your reaction. Like, you're so happy right now that you brought your food to work. Like, it's such a relief that you don't have to make this decision. And that's why, routines are so powerful, because when you're in a routine, you're not deciding. So, if I wake up, I do this, I do this, I do this. You don't wake up and make all these decisions. So then you have all this energy stored for making bigger decisions.
That's really true. And one thing I realized, so because this exactly thing about putting yourself into, getting a routine in place. Someone, it was in the podcast, the guy was saying, so the fact that Barack Obama was, when he was president, he was always wearing the same shirt. He had different shirts, but he was wearing the same shirt, same costume every day, same suits, not and he counted the amount of time that you save by doing this kind of things.
Steve Jobs did the same.
See, and it's crazy. And when I thought, I was like, oh my gosh, if I count the amount of time I'm losing every day choosing my outfits, gosh, and this is unproductive time.
Unproductive. Because also, and what I tell, like sometimes when my clients really struggle and it's not even a big decision. So first, one thing to think of is this a permanent decision or not? Most of the time, it's not going to be. If it is, fine, take as much time. If it's not, any decision will be the right decision. If you pick the hotel, it's the right decision. If you pick the Airbnb, it's the right decision. Just pick one and move on.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Just pick and move on.
And move on.
That's the take out of it. Now moving to kind of the great, zooming out a little bit. What kind of legacy do you want to leave for your community or for, any clients that you have or for the greater world, maybe?
I would say I really after becoming where I am today and starting a business I truly love and I'm happy to do every day, I want to help people do that too. So what I want to leave, the legacy I want to leave is having empowered people to pursue their natural skills and talents. Because, everyone deserves to work in something they truly love and that truly brings them joy. And I do believe we all have such unique gifts given to us, and it's just a shame to not use them. So my goal is to help as many people as possible pursue their, natural skills and passions and turn them into businesses that give them freedom.
And one thing I thought that when we were preparing this episode, I was listening to a podcast and one of the quotes that was said was, do the job that you would be doing if you didn't have to work. And this kind of resonate also to kind of your aha moments when you realize you wanted to pursue another type of career. If you can touch base a little bit on that. And
I love that quote. It's so true. Even, when I start working with people who want to start a business, don't know what they want to do, that's a question I ask. What would you do if money wasn't an issue? And just to start seeing what truly excites them. For me, I had this aha moment when I was working in my corporate job and I was living in New York, and I was a consultant and I was coding. So I was, kind of hiding behind the screen, coding every day. And it was like, in the beginning, it was interesting because I was learning. But then towards, once I was decent at it, I had this moment where, I wasn't going to be the best coder, right? Like, I wasn't trying to compete with those people. So I'm like, so what's the goal here? Like, where am I trying to get to? And then I noticed, the job I'm doing right now, someone else can do. So I was like, well, then I should probably be doing something that's more unique to me, not something I could just train anybody else to do. And so that was like a aha moment that, okay, I need to do something that's more aligned to who I am, aligned to my personality. And that's kind of what started that transitional moment I was talking about earlier.
And one thing, when you say that, one thing that kind of spike on me is, at the end of the day, we're all here. As we're all unique human beings, right? And we're all here to kind of follow our purpose. And I truly believe that our purpose is unique. So unless you really do the work to define what that is for you, and actually do that, whatever, when you work, whatever you bring to the world is not the ultimate thing that you can bring to the world, right? Because when you follow your purpose, then you have a really positive impact. And that's kind of the domino effect we touched base very early on this podcast, is you're helping people kind of as an enabler, helping people kind of pursue their careers. But then those people are going to help other people through their art to help, more people. So then you have this kind of we call it butterfly effect.
Yeah,
You know, where a
yeah.
small change can
Change everything.
Yes. So I truly think that's why everyone should follow their own purpose. What's a lie we tell people about solo entrepreneurship that you would like to debunk once and for all?
This is going to be controversial, but I think the lie is that you're going to be busy 24/7. Look, the reality is, yes, you know, you're working all the time because you're in charge of your time. But this, you know, what we've seen, look, it's one thing if you're trying to start a big company, you know, a new tech company, the next Uber or something, that's a different story. But if you're just trying to start out small, starting to do, you know, something that comes easy to you, whether you're selling a service or whatever it is, you're not going to be that overwhelmed if you have the right structure and process in place. So I would say the myth is that as an entrepreneur, you have no time for yourself. I think it's the opposite. You know, when you work a corporate job, you're there 9 to 6, 5 days a week. You put that much time into your own business, you'll have your weekends to yourself, you'll have the evenings to yourself, and you'll grow a lot because you spend all that time, you know, moving things forward.
No, true. And one other thing, when you say that, what I realize is when you do something you genuinely like, you're also more efficient. Don't you think?
Yeah.
So that's also why the amount you spend working on things that really drives you are way more efficient. Hence, you have to spend less time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
That's also one of the
and then
things.
you want to, like, you enjoy working and you do things that you like and you don't do the things that you don't like. And
anyone is listening to us.
Is anyone out there?
And they want to become an entrepreneur, a solo entrepreneur. What would you tell them right now?
Well, first thing I would say is follow me on Instagram. I give a lot of tips there. I would say
and give your Instagram so that people could
coached by Mira. And I would say if you have this inkling right now, if there's something like that sparked in you, take it and catch it and like implement on it. Don't let it fall away. Take it and move forward. So start thinking about what you want to do. If you have an idea, start small. Think of the first next step you need to do and the second next step. Don't overwhelm yourself with, you know, the bigger things. Just start small.
And also get the help you need, whatever this looks like for you, but don't feel ashamed to invest in yourself and ask for help. Because, I mean, from all the discussion we've had, one of the main things that kind of shift that moment from transitional, we said, to actually action is being able to get a plan going and just follow through. And sometimes you have the idea and it's, you know, you have the idea, but you don't have the plan, or you have the plan, but it's very difficult to implement, then just get help. Because 100%. Once you start, then it's a
I would
high road.
100%. My number one advice is to get a coach and get support, because then you have to do it. You have someone who, you know, you've invested first in yourself. So you paid money. So because you paid money, you want to get your return on that. So it's kind of psychological as well. And then a coach will guide you, tell you what to do, tell you what not to do in those moments to help you move forward.
That's a good one. So unfortunately, it's the end of this, almost the end of this podcast. Last question, which I really like. If you had to resume your CEO path, is one song, one movie, one show, what would it be?
I watch shows the most, so I think it would be Friends.
Not surprised.
And I think it's because, you know, okay, now I'm the CEO of my business. I'm an entrepreneur. And so I have people who work with me, right? But anyone who works with me is an expert in their field. So I have a social media manager who supports me. I don't see it as a hierarchy, you know, that she works for me. I see it as we're equals. This is what she does. This is what I do. And we work together.
No, that's very interesting. And one thing that I realized, you know, getting to know you is most of the people you've helped or people that are now, as you said, you know, around your like business ecosystem.
Yeah.
And what I love about that is, you know, and you were mentioning one of your clients who used to be a client. You help her kind of scale up her business.
Yeah.
And she actually, now is becoming, you're becoming one of her clients, and I think this kind of positive effect also says a lot. First of all, about, women supporting women. That's first thing.
Yeah.
And also about, when you do help people kind of give the first kick for them to start their business and for them to follow the passion, it doesn't mean you cannot learn from them either. Like, it's a two-way street. And it's not because you are teaching any, of your clients, kind of a path and how to, everything you've learned through your coaching training, you're teaching them. But that doesn't mean you have nothing to teach, to learn from them either.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that 100%. That's why I love this so much, because I work with people from all industries. So whether they're graphic designers or yoga teachers or real estate agents or social media managers. So yes, I guide them to pursue their business and to grow it. And then I go back to them for help. So the story you were saying is, I had a lady who was in my group coaching program, and she left the program saying, okay, I want to pursue social media. I'm good at it, and I want to do it as a side business while I work my corporate job. She said, Mira, I'm looking at your page. I feel like you need some help. I'm like, yes, I really struggle with, posting on social media. So she's, did a demo for me, and it's been over a year that she is my social media manager now. So, I was her coach, and now I'm her client. And that's how it works, because she's an expert in her field. I'm an expert in my field. So it's really nice to have this ecosystem. And then, of course, I connect them with each other. If someone needs to buy an apartment, I have a real estate agent.
I might use this one. No, that's really interesting. Thank you, Mira, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
It was such a pleasure to chit chat with you.
It was.
And for anyone that's is in this period of transitioning, is thinking of doing solo entrepreneurship, please reach out to her.
Yes,
she's the best.
We can have anyone who's listening can DM me, and we can have a free call.
Perfect. Here you go.
Special offer.
Thank you.
Thank you.